WHIP, Philly's #1 college radio station.
.42 is the time in the WHIP studio, Temple Sports Hour. John Cole, Kevin Rowley. We're here until 1 o'clock, and then we hand it off to Stadium Talk. I see Mike Zahn was in the studio eating a wrap of some sort. He'll be on the next hour. I'm sure they'll be talking all things Super Bowl as Stadium Talk covers all professional sports here on WHIP. And it's the third segment for Thursday, and Kevin, we know what that means. It is time for our Player Hater of the Week. Kevin, would you like to go first this time?
I will go first, and this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It is tanking. It is Sam Hinkie and everything that glorious man does. Stan Van Gundy, last year, I believe, it was, let me look up this date, early March 2014, so this was before he got the job as the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. They talk about the Sixers, and he says what Philadelphia is doing right now is embarrassing. I don't care. Adam Silver can say there's no tanking or what's going on, but if you're putting that roster on the floor, you're doing everything you can possibly do to try to lose. It's not exactly an inaccurate statement. They are a bad team, and they are possibly trying to tank, but that is not something you should come out and say, especially when your team that you coach has lost 2 games to the Sixers this year. The Sixers have 9 wins, John, and 2 of them are against his Detroit Pistons. That is saying a lot, and maybe it's because of those comments. I've come to believe maybe they get up for these Detroit games more than ever, but they put a whomping down on the Detroit Pistons last night. I think they won by something like 20, 23 or something like that.
They were up 24-4 at one point, and it was glorious to see the same man criticize our style of winning. We think this is the way to get the wins. And you know what? Right now, we might only have, the Philadelphia 76ers might only have 9 wins on the season, but 2 of them happen to be against Van Gundy's
Pistons. That's 22% coming against the Detroit Pistons, so maybe back off your comments a little bit, Stan.
And they lost Josh Smith, so there's no Josh Smith excuse anymore. This is without Josh Smith, and they still lost to the Sixers.
It's crazy how much better they are without Josh Smith. That's one of my favorite stories from the NBA this year.
Hopefully the Sixers can pick up Josh Smith and immediately drop him, and I'm sure you'll see their wins rise right away. Anyway,
pick him up just to drop him.
Exactly. It's a nice psychology there. I'm sure we can get a second-round pick out of him somehow. Hinkie seems to pull that off.
I think he's on Houston now, right?
I'm not sure. Quite frankly, wherever he's going, I'm sure it's having a negative impact on their team.
You're probably right.
My pick for Player Hater of the Week. This is tough because there's 2 stories here that are both very good. And you know what? I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to read 2 suggestions, 2 Player Haters of the Week. Number 1, going to go into earlier this week. We were expecting the biggest snowstorm of 2015.
Yep.
And a lot of hype around it. A lot of the weathermen and weatherwomen, the meteorologists, saying this is the real deal. Watch out, you're getting over a foot of snow.
I was already getting ready to put all my homework off for like the next week because I figured we were going to have off.
And, unfortunately for us students here, it did not come, obviously. And, when you're on sports talk radio, it's something to mention. When you first get on there, of course you're going to mention the snow or lack thereof on the ground. So Angelo Cataldi mentions it and starts really criticizing the meteorologists in the area. And John Belaris is one of them, who is a meteorologist for Fox 29, I believe. Mm-hmm. And he was, believe it or not, he was actually one of those who drew back from his comments the night before. He actually said we're not getting that much anymore and kind of scaled back, one of the only ones. And Cataldi was going on this rant about the meteorologists and saying how wrong they were. So Belaris wants to call into his show, and Belaris unfortunately could not get in there. Apparently WIP wouldn't let him go on, so Belaris decides to go on a Twitter rant. 4 tweets in a row about Angelo Cataldi. So here it is. I'm going to read them out to you right now. At 9:45 a.m. of January 27th, John Belaris tweets out, at 5:45 a.m., called into WIP. Since Angelo was screaming for heads, mentioned me, gave him a chance to kill me. Answer, no, because of negative tweet, ? Producer from WIP AM show said Angelo said no because of a negative tweet 2.5 years ago. Wow. Somebody said something negative, ... Hypocrite. John Belaris, once again, his third tweet, low blow by Angelo at 5:45 a.m., mouthing about Belaris /Storm Century, but when I called in to respond, and to admit it was a bad fact, in quotes, went turtle. And then the final tweet, I think, finally got all out of his system at 10:22, and this is like a half hour after, so you think he's done at 9:54. No, he still has one more comment 28 minutes after the fact. What a difference going on with a crew like Preston and Steve on 93.3 WMMR, whom have zero egos and are honest with no BS, to a classless act like Angelo. Wow.
Sounds like we have a call-out in the forecast with a 60% chance of a smackdown, John.
John Blair's better watch his back, because I'll put my money, if they ever stepped in the ring together, I got my money on Angelo Cataldi.
Yeah, I don't think Cataldi would go into his turtle shell in that scenario.
Not a shot. And then my second one, another one Angelo Cataldi related, believe it or not, Wing Bowl is tomorrow at 6 a.m., 7 a.m., whatever the exact time they start eating wings at. The festivities, of course, start hours before then. I was in attendance 2 years ago, and it's become a bit of a Philadelphia tradition. I was there for the 21st. This is the 23rd year they've done it. And then Philadelphia Magazine decides to write an article about Wing Bowl, and a man by the name of Richard Rise had some strong words against it, saying Wing Bowl is a time to end it, is the name of the article. And the caption for it saying, WIP's drunken disgrace coming up for the 23rd time on January 30th. Oozes hot sauce and misogyny. And he goes on for 2 paragraphs saying what a disgrace it is. I'll read one paragraph of it just because it is pretty humorous. He said, early one Friday morning, last January, I was surrounded by roughly 20,000 screaming fans, an army of half-naked women, an effigy, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong.
Effigy, yeah.
Effigy, okay, of Ruben Amaro. High above, on the scoreboard video screen, a clip played on repeat. The image, a guy projectile vomiting. On the same floor where Allen Iverson once thrilled, where the Flyers nearly won their 3rd Stanley Cup just 5 years ago. A bunch of dudes and one very intimidating woman were shoving chicken wings down their pie holes as fast as they could. The crowd cheered, mostly in hopeful anticipation of someone puking. There's another paragraph in it, some choice words in the second paragraph I cannot read on air. But he really tearing apart Wing Bowl, and I don't see the need to really do this. I get there's some problems with it, but it's become almost a Philadelphia tradition now.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. It's a Philadelphia tradition, and it's only fitting that it's on the same court where Allen Iverson played and the Broad Street Bullies play. Excuse me. It's a working class city, Philadelphia, and it always has been. And this is just a day for everyone to get drunk, let loose, and watch people cram wings down their throats. It's fun. It's a tradition now, and there's
We're not
no
trying to hurt anyone. Look,
Yeah.
I don't see the big deal about the negative comments. Look, I get that. There's obviously it's not the best environment to be in if you were under 18 years old or anything like that. You need to be of age. I'd recommend to be in that environment. But at the same time, it's become a Philadelphia tradition. And you know what? There's fights. I was there. There's stuff like that happens. But you know what? That happens at regular sporting events too.
There's fights everywhere. There's fights in the Chipotles in Philadelphia.
I'd pay to see a fight in a Chipotle. And also another announcement about Wing Bowl tomorrow. It is expected, according to the Broad Street. I need to fault the exact blog. I think it's a Broad Street Beat or where. Crossing Broad. I apologize.
Broad, yeah.
Crossing Broad reports that tomorrow during Wing Bowl, WIP will announce the hiring of Tony Bruno, and it's expected that Tony Bruno and Josh Innes will be on air together once again. They did it over winter break as a little. They tested it out. They're really funny together. And if this report is true, I'm looking forward to it because I think it's a really fun combo together. You have two guys with similar personalities. They bring fun topics to sports. I really hope this happens, and hopefully they make the announcement tomorrow.
Yeah, that would be great. I love those two together.
Yeah, absolutely. Time in the WHIP studio is 12:51. Just a couple minutes left until we hand it over to Stadium Talk. But Kevin, now finally, after all this anticipation, we are waiting, and we have waited long enough. You've been over on the air for over an hour now, and you have not given us your Super Bowl prediction yet. Kevin, can you please give it to us now?
Am I allowed to pick the Eagles just as in a desperation attempt?
Ginsburg did in the beginning of the year. Heck, you can hop on that bandwagon.
I'm going to go with the New England Patriots. I think it'll be a relatively low-scoring game, but low scoring for the Patriots. They're usually in the 30s and even the 40s we saw in the AFC Championship. I think it'll be something like 28-21. Maybe 28-24, something in that range. I have trouble seeing the Seahawks putting up too many points against this Patriots defense. Okay. And I think there's a pretty decent chance that Tom Brady's going to find some soft spots in that secondary.
All right, give me your Super Bowl MVP and give me some stat lines that you see, some players sticking out.
You know what? I was going to go Tom Brady. I'll go Rob Gronkowski. It's more interesting.
All right, so Super Bowl MVP Gronk.
Yeah, I'm tired of picking quarterbacks and running backs. So, yeah, I'll go Rob Gronkowski. He's going to have 120 yards, 2 TDs. He's going to have a good game. So
Gronk, Super Bowl MVP, and I have the Seahawks getting the Super Bowl victory. I have them winning 20-17. It's almost like I think it's just a team of destiny now. Mm-hmm. And I think the Super Bowl MVP will be Marshawn Lynch. I think he has a really good game against that Patriots defense. I think he rushes for over 100 yards. Beast mode comes out to play. And coming out to play with us right now here in the studio, coming up next on Stadium Talk, joined by Mike Zahn, Long Island resident. Mike, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, and I'll be honest, it's not an issue, but I'm actually not a Long Island resident. Ooh. Wish I was.
Oh,
I'm from Connecticut.
Connecticut, that's right, but
yes.
you're an Islanders fan.
So I have to be from Long Island to be an Islanders fan.
Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
You have to be a fan of the professional sports of Connecticut.
Here's at least what I'll say. I'm glad both of you have at least known me for 2 years now, so you know I'm not just jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah,
fair enough. You guys know
actually,
me.
I didn't know you were from Connecticut. I just forgot about it.
I knew you knew.
I thought you said you lived close to the stadium. That's someone else, obviously, at the radio station or TV. Maybe.
I knew it was somewhere in New England. They all kind of blend together for me.
If you want to know the truth, Zach Gelb actually lives pretty close to Nassau Coliseum, but
and yet he's a Rangers fan.
He's a Rangers Patriots fan. I'm Islanders Jets. So Zach Gelb, the sports director, and I get along just swimmingly on our sport teams.
These are pretty good friends. How does that happen? Do you ever call him out on that?
You know what? Right now,
I'm sure he's not listening. I mean, he had his internship with WIP this morning. Yeah, or if he is,
if he is, it's okay. He knows, and I know. Right now, he has bragging rights in football, and he cares a little bit more about football than I do. It just happens that way. I care a little bit more about hockey, and as of today,
and you're a Jets fan, so you might not want to care about football as much right now.
It's a little
I got
hard.
confused. I thought you were a Giants fan.
Really?
So.
No. Okay, so I'm from Long Island and I'm a Giants fan now. In case you didn't know,
Mike, you are everything. But anyway,
you're a hard man to pin down.
Yeah, we gave our Super Bowl predictions just a bit ago. I did on the last hour, and I reiterated again. I gave my Super Bowl prediction and Super Bowl MVP. Want to give us that real quick, or do you want to get on that on Stadium Talk?
I'll be honest. There would be no point of Cliff and I having a show from 1 to 2 if I just broke down the Super Bowl now. So the people that are tuned in now, you're gonna have to stay from 1 to 2 to listen into what myself and Cliff think about Sunday's upcoming matchup.
All right, anything else to look out for? Is it Super Bowl the whole hour? What else are we looking out for?
We're going to look at how in the world do the Detroit Pistons not even put up 70 points against the Philadelphia 76ers?
Because Sam Hinkie is a genius?
That's why.
Exactly.
Cliff stepped in the studio. He's not in front of a microphone right now. Cliff, how you doing? Just get in front of a microphone. Come on. He'll be on next with Mike Zahn. Is it just you two, or is anyone else?
We hold it down on Thursdays here.
Yes.
Thursdays, we hold it down.
There we go, Cliff. So my question, Cliff, you're Philadelphia. Well, not Philadelphia native. You're from Elkins Park, correct?
Yeah.
Close enough.
He knows you. He knows about you. He doesn't know about me.
Well, no, because he's got in his Twitter bio, he's got EP or whatever that means. I mean, I don't want P-dub in mine, but
yes,
hey,
it stands for Elkins Park. Yes.
Yes, Elkins Park.
Yes.
Anyway, since we just got into it in our last clip, we had our player hater of the week, and I mentioned I'm a writer from Philadelphia Magazine, a man by the name of Richard Rise, killing the Wing Bowl, saying it's time to end it, and really trashed it. Cliff, you're from the area. Have you ever went to Wing Bowl?
I did when I was a senior in high school.
So did I. Okay.
In fact, I'm actually an intern at WIP right now, so I'm supposed to be at the Wing Bowl tomorrow. I'm probably going to remain in the studio because they're going to have you do actual work, and I don't want to do actual work at the Wing Bowl.
No one wants to do work.
So, yeah. So
will you be at Wing Bowl still? Will you be?
No, I will not be at the Wells Fargo Center for Wing Bowl. I will not be there.
What does Clifton Bigsby have to say about this?
Here's the story behind that. One of my friends said that people know you enough to where they would follow this account, right? And I'm like, no, that's stupid. Why would anybody want to follow a parody account of me? I'm not that funny. I don't think I'm funny. First of all,
I have to be honest. I love you, Cliff. I think you're funny. So,
but surprisingly, it's actually gotten some decent reaction, and it's kind of scary. But
quite honestly, okay. So Cliff has a second Twitter account that's not run by him.
I do not have a second Twitter account.
It's not run by him. There's a faux Cliff Augustine, a faux Cliff Paul, a faux Cliff. What's a Cliff Paul? Cliff Bro Paterno, a man of many names. Mike Zahn.
I have a fake one too.
He's a fake.
But I know who does. I know who runs that one.
Yeah, I know who runs mine as well. I'm just not affiliated with it. That's not my Twitter.
And quite honestly, Cliff, I'm going to be honest, I followed it because I thought it might have been you.
That's the worst part because people keep texting me this. Like, I got the one day when it, like, I guess people really start figuring it out. I got about like 20 texts like, yo, like, you have another Twitter account? Like, why would I make another Twitter account? Like, that makes no sense.
Well, because you're one to have different names as your Twitter
No,
handle.
that's stupid.
You were Cliff Paul. You were Bro Paterno.
Yeah, but it was the same account.
Yeah, it's the same account. Like, why would I make another account?
Maybe Cliff and I will talk about it on the next hour because we both have people impersonating us. But I do want to quickly pose this out. I don't understand. There are some people who do have multiple Twitter accounts, and they themselves run two Twitter accounts. And I don't mean one's like professional and one's like a joke.
Somebody actually hosts Stadium Talk does have 2 Twitter accounts. I'm not going to drop any names because that's my boy.
Well, you should probably drop the name now. You don't mention it to not say it.
Jamie Gray.
Okay.
I know you have 2 Twitter accounts. You don't have to do that.
There's an intervention. You don't have to do
people,
this.
and they say the same things on the 2, and I feel dumb because I'm following both of them.
What's
and
the
then they
Mike
both
Zahn
follow me.
parody account?
What is the mic?
It's Zahn Daddy,
something
ZAWN.
like that, yeah.
And if you want to know where that joke Zahn comes from, is because Zach Gelb is from Long Island, and so he has
And that's where you're from, right?
I'm not from, and he has a New York accent, so whenever he refers to me, he goes Zwan, not Zahn, which is my last name.
And Zach
he
makes
goes,
fun of my
Zwan.
accent all the time. He rips my Philly accent every
you got
day.
a bad Philly accent. You got one though. Like, John, you really got an accent. Like,
I have one, but I'm proud of it. And then he actually,
you can obviously be proud of it. I'm just saying you really do have one though. Like, there's no.
but he acts like he doesn't have a New York accent. That's what bugs me.
Who's a Gelb?
Gelb acts like he doesn't
Y'all
have.
think he has a New York accent?
Oh,
like
it's
that?
terrible.
He has a New York
I
accent.
don't hear it in Gelb a lot. I don't know why. Maybe
It's like his
Zahn Daddy.
mannerisms too. You just gotta see him, and you're just sort of like, oh god,
he has
so
a New York
York.
attitude for sure.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. I don't know. He doesn't talk like in New York. I feel
Okay.
like. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing it. I don't know.
Everything and more coming out in the next hour of Stadium Talk. You need to stay tuned to listen to them from 1 to 2. They'll get into their Super Bowl conversation. Time to WHIP studio, 12:59. Thanks for listening to myself and Kevin Rowley. I'll be back on tomorrow with Greg Frank. We're going to have an Inquirer writer join us, talk about some Temple hoops, and we're going to also get into our last Football Friday of the semester. Stay tuned to WHIP, Philly's #1 college radio station.